The views and opinions expressed here on Wrestling Winedown are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any other agency, organization, employer, or company. What's up, guys? It's Lo, and you are tuned in to Wrestling Winedown, a female-founded and hosted podcast dedicated to professional wrestling and our favorite adult beverage. We are back with another episode of Chardonnay and Chisme, your wrestling girl talk. I am joined as always by Iridian of the Rest Friends podcast. We are recapping y'all on some of the events that we've gone to recently, including my trip to New York to speak at New York Comic-Con, as well as traveling to Los Angeles to see GCW. And of course, we have the latest Chisme in professional wrestling, including should we be getting our hopes up that Sasha Banks and Naomi will return to the WWE, the latest on the rumors that John Cena will be wrestling at Wrestlemania in LA, as well as the return of the Elite to AEW, while CM Punk is doing commentary and throwing a little bit of shade at these MMA fights. We'll also be talking about the 24/7 title going bye-bye. It's no longer in the WWE Championship picture, and we'll be talking about the latest WWE returns. Which ones have we enjoyed? Which ones could we go without? And who we would like to see return to the company. So grab your favorite glass of bubbly. We're going in for the 3 count. We are back with another episode of Chardonnay and Chisme, and we are drinking today. No laws when you're drinking the claws and Sun Pop. I know that's right. Love it. Love this for us. We haven't been here in a minute. We will start off with a recap of New York Comic-Con. So I went to New York Comic-Con. I was a part of a panel. It was Behind the Magic. So it was women of color. It was Karen Bam Bam. We had Hearts, we had Shay Sawyer, In Cat We Trust, or Katrina, as well as Stephanie Hardy. It was a great time. We had a good turnout, and we spoke about some of the issues, within the wrestling community that Black women or women of color do face. I had an amazing time. I'm very honored that I was able to participate, and I know the ladies are still doing other panels as well, which I think this panel needs to be heard by other people. If you weren't able to make the New York Comic-Con, you can watch it online, but there are other Comic-Cons out there, and I'm glad that they are seizing the opportunity and going and telling people their story. I think so often in professional wrestling and, with women in media in general, we don't hear their backstory. We only hear about when goes awry. We don't hear about the stuff that got them to where they are today. And that's why I think this panel is so important. So they recently spoke at the UK Comic-Con, which is a huge deal, and they'll be in LA in December. So very happy for them. I'm watching along for the success. I know you watched it, Iridian. What were your thoughts?
I thought it was a very good panel. You guys were really it needed to be a panel at Comic-Con, and I'm glad that it was because, a lot of people don't know like the behind the scenes that goes into just being a content creator in general, but a content creator for wrestling. Like that is just a whole different thing. It's mixing 2 different fandoms. So you guys were really, really great. I loved your outfit. You looked amazing.
Okay, now, thank you.
You were just so well spoken, and I'm just a huge fan of you.
She's a stan.
Yes, I stan Wrestling Winedown and Low. But yeah, it was just a really great panel, and I did go back and rewatch it just because there was just some really, really great moments in it. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And if anyone hasn't experienced it, it's definitely online and you guys can go watch it. But I think that more panels like this need to exist.
I will link it and it will be in the show notes. But moving along, I went to LA to see GCW. The last time we went to GCW, or I went to GCW, was with you. And 2 EMTs were outside after. So, going into this, I was a little bit nervous. I was like, what the am I thinking going here? But it was a good show. It wasn't as gory as the one that we saw in Dallas. It was more of like a traditional wrestling show. You had like a death match or 2, but it wasn't anything crazy. Saw a lot of people that we've seen before: Joey Janela, Allie Catch, Titus Alexander, Hunter Freeman, who I saw the week before at Grap House. It was cool because I did see the Wolf Zaddies there. So a couple months ago when New Japan came to town, there was a wrestler who was on the card and his nickname was Latino Meat. Okay. And when I first heard it, I was like, what? Latino Meat? Like, I know some Latino heat, but Latino Meat? So I had tweeted and I was like, who is this Latino Meat guy? And somebody's like, it's Che Cabrera. And I'm like, okay, hi, Che Cabrera. So now we follow each other. cool guy. He just had his first death match, which looked absolutely sickening. Like, sir, you're bleeding out. Ooh, it was a good match though. Don't get me wrong. I watched it on Halloween night, like at 11:30 when I got home, and I was like, oh my God, Jesus. But they were on the card. They did a great job. They had a tag team match for the GCW Tag Championships. They did not win, but it was still a good match. Taya Valkyrie was there. There were a lot of good matches on the card. There were some people who, obviously had other bookings, didn't show up, which is fine. But I think GCW always does a really good job when they go to LA, and they're always there. And it seems like the same crowd tends to go all the time. And I had the opportunity to meet Miss Cam. I love her. That was the first time I'd ever met her. It was kind of like with me and you, right? So like when you meet someone for the first time, you get a little bit nervous. You're like, oh, like I interact with these people online, but what if I get in person? They're like crazy. But we matched so well. She was so cool. Had a great time with her. We'll be going to Mania together or doing Mania weekend together. So prepare to be sick of me, Cam. Did you watch the GCW show?
I did not watch the GCW show, but I felt like I was there through your stories. And the way that you were describing it, like it just made it like GCW is a whole nother level for anyone who has never experienced GCW. And for you and me to have our first GCW at last year's Mania, that was very extreme. And then the GCW here for All Out Weekend, though all know
Insane.
I feel like also extreme. But then 2 EMTs after the show, I feel like the GCW is progressing into more danger, right? So I'm glad that there was less danger at your show.
I will say, I am drinking this wine. I just noticed there's a price tag on the bottom of the glass. You know what? Whatever. Okay. That's character. We're christening the glass on Chardonnay and Chisme, clearly. Yeah, but I'm excited to go to other GCW shows in LA. I mean, I went to the one out here a couple months ago, and it was cool, but I feel like LA has a different vibe. So definitely we'll go back to there soon, and just really excited to just go to more wrestling shows this year. There's a FSW show coming up in a couple weeks that I'll be going to. And then I think that's the last one for the year. So then we'll, pick it up in 2023 and we'll be at the Royal Rumble together. Chardonnay and Chisme, person, live.
Are you ready for that vlog? Because the Rumbles are something else. Like
as long as the seats aren't dirty in the arena, I'm here for it.
I had such a hard time vlogging last year's Rumble because literally every 20 seconds you have to have your phone ready to record your reaction. It's a hot mess. But we'll do a duo vlog, so maybe it'll be less work.
Oh yeah, that would be smart. Sun Pop Wine. I am not sponsored by them, but I should be. This is the best, okay? If you don't drink that much, I feel like you will like this. So this is very sweet. This is a Moscato. So I was talking to someone a couple weeks ago on a podcast, and they were like, I've never had wine before. Like, what should I start with? A Moscato is good. Like, this tastes like juice. I would recommend, like, if you're doing something like recording a podcast or doing a video, you probably should stick with something like this. Like, don't drink the whole bottle. I'm about halfway through. I probably will finish the bottle by the time we're done with this, but cheers up to the Sun Pop in this. Okay, let's get into the real Chisme. So, are Sasha and Naomi coming back to WWE? That's the question that seems to plague my timeline every Monday and Friday night. We know that Sasha and Naomi, or Mercedes and Trinity, are having the time of their lives as they deserve, doing photo shoots, modeling shows, all types of stuff together. And it makes me happy that they're thriving outside of WWE, because we know the situation, or to the best of our knowledge, the situation that happened with them a couple months ago. But recently, Sasha, or Mercedes, went on Instagram and was talking about how the moment that she's waited for months now is happening soon. And it led people to speculate, well, is she coming back to WWE? What's going on? Because we don't know if both of them were released. We don't know if one of them was released. We don't know what exactly is going on. And so, a lot of people are wondering, does this mean that Sasha Banks and Naomi are coming back to the WWE? What is Sasha's announcement? Obviously, the Monday after, people are speculating again on the timeline. We know that War Games is coming up. There's a match. There's 2 spots on the babyface team that is not filled, and people are having a field day thinking that Sasha Banks and Naomi are going to be in this match. Do we see them coming back to WWE? Does it make sense? Do you think that WWE has changed enough in terms of management and just the style of it being ran that Sasha Banks and Naomi coming back would benefit them? Not the company, because obviously the company would benefit from having 2 of their top stars back. But would it benefit Sasha Banks and Naomi, or Mercedes and Trinity, to go back to this place?
You know what? I was like this close from purchasing the recent pay-per-view pay-per-view that they did at Saudi Arabia. And just because that I was still thinking like, you know what, there's a chance. There's a women's tag team match, and there's a possibility that maybe this would be the time that they come back. We've waited for so long. And let me tell you, it was cute at first when I was like, okay, I'm watching Monday Night Raw all the way. I'm watching SmackDown all the way, waiting for Sasha and Naomi to come back. 3 weeks into watching these shows and they did not come back. I was like, you know what? Maybe they're just not going to show up. Maybe they're waiting for a really, really big pay-per-view. And what really big pay-per-views are coming up? The Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. So I feel like maybe they wouldn't come back on a Monday Night Raw or a SmackDown, but they do have to come back together. And I do think that it's time for them to come back. I know that the women's tag team division is very limited, because for a long time they were just putting women all together. But I do think that they could benefit from bringing Sasha and Naomi back to really establish the tag team division, because they were really good champions. Very unfortunate situation that they had to go through, but I do think that it was necessary for change to happen. So they can keep doing their photo shoots and their red carpets, but I do want them back in WWE.
I do as well, and I agree with everything you said. I think they offered stability to the division because, like you said, they were pairing random people together. And every time that these titles are dropped or they have a weird storyline with the tag titles now, everyone is always like, well, Sasha and Naomi were right. And I mean, to an extent, they were. We need to take these titles seriously. If you have some titles on the roster, which we will get to because there is a title that is being faded away out of the WWE or is gone now, you need to maintain the championship like it's your top championship. I don't care if it's your mid card or your lower card. There are fans out there that are invested in women's tag team wrestling or women's wrestling in general. And if you're not putting 100% of your effort into the titles and kind of like willy-nilly, like, oh, we'll just put it on these people this week and then change it next week, how do you expect your fans to want to watch that? I mean, I think it would be a benefit to have them back, but I want them to still thrive, right? And I think if they were to do like a 24, like a show on them about the way that the situation went down, if they want to share that, or their life after that situation went down. I think that would be so interesting to watch because we haven't had anyone do this before. And I think it would be a great story to showcase that these women, yes, they were in the situation where they walked out of a career that they had been in for years, but they were able to adjust and utilize their real names and still do appearances and still make money and be able to interact with their fans and continue to build that credibility behind their real name. I mean, I even think about when they did C2E2 in Chicago, they utilized their real name. They didn't utilize their stage names. And like you said, the lines were so long. Everyone was so excited to meet them. That was their first appearance that they had done post the whole thing that had happened with the WWE, but it just showcases these women are moneymakers. They are necessary. And if it's WWE they go to, or if they decide that they don't want to come back to wrestling, I feel like they will still continue to thrive because that's just who they are. I agree. I hope they come back because right now it's kind of like, okay, like we're on the timeline every Monday and Friday. Like, is this going to happen or are we just getting our hopes up? We will see. Hunter, time's a ticking. TikTok, let's get to it. Bring him back.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
Well, that's too damn bad. Speaking of the future, you mentioned WrestleMania. John Cena. They're saying he might wrestle at WrestleMania in LA.
You know what? That's really crazy. The fact that Cena might appear at WrestleMania, it's just giving me all the feels, right? Like John Cena is such a fantastic entertainer that he can really go anywhere and do whatever he wants. And he could be making movies, but the fact that he could be at WrestleMania is really, really making me want to go to WrestleMania. But also, what if he appears at the Royal Rumble? Like, there's so many possibilities for him. I was just listening to his album the other day, as I casually do, and I've just been waiting for him to come back because he's just so fantastic. So if he does go to Mania, if there's a match that is announced, I might have to make an appearance.
Oh, roll out the red carpet.
We'll have to see. Yeah.
According to WrestleVote, Cena will not only be at WrestleMania, but will also likely participate as a wrestler. They say Cena should be there and Cena should be wrestling. It says that his relationship with Triple H is strong. He touches base every so often. He still has love for WWE. I know I had read that he has a couple years left on his contract, and I'm not sure what his contract looks like at this point because we know that he's not an active part of the WWE roster. So it's John Cena, though. They could pretty much do whatever they want. He is a household name for the WWE product. So I wouldn't be surprised if he has like a one-of-a-kind contract because it's John Cena, right? I hope John Cena comes back. I watched him wrestle at SummerSlam, and it just, nature was healing that day. I'll tell you that.
There's literally just something about it. It's like to watch someone you love so much growing up, like in front of you, and you hear the music and he comes out just as excited every single time. I was amazed. And the only thing that I can kind of like compare it to is like when we saw Triple H come out at WrestleMania, we were like, oh my God, the music hit. Stone Cold Steve Austin. You're like, these are legends, and you get to see them in the ring, even for a couple of seconds. Like it's so heart fulfilling that it's amazing.
Clearly, you were ready to have this conversation. You're very geared up.
Listen, when you sent me the rundown and I saw Cena's name, I said, I'm ready. And I have the headband on too, but I wasn't sure. Someone told me it was an armband. And
that is not an armband. If anything, that's a thigh band. That's a headband. I know that's right. Hustle, loyalty, and respect.
Listen, if John Cena needs anybody to model his gear or, you know, his t-shirts, his merch, I'm here. Cena, this is my audition.
Wow. I think you aced it. John, this message is for you. We have a model ready for you. She will model anything that you put out.
Action figures, title belts, jerseys, albums even.
Okay. The vocals will hit. Okay. Speaking of comebacks, as we now know, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega are back in All Elite Wrestling after a 2-month absence after the media scrum heard round the world. As many people are aware in the wrestling community, there was a altercation backstage after the All Out press conference where CM Punk just had a pipe bomb, another pipe bomb, just like the one he had in WWE, where he went off on the EVPs, which are the Young Bucks as well as Kenny Omega, and it turned into a backstage altercation. People were getting hit. Dogs were injured. Kenny was bitten by Ace Steel. A whole bunch of things have come out of this press conference, but as a result of the altercation, all of the people involved were suspended. There were different people who have came back, including Christopher Daniels, Brandon Cutler, but we are waiting on the Elite to come back. We do not know the status of CM Punk when it comes to returning to AEW or his contract. We've seen him most recently doing commentary for MMA fights, which he has been a little bit shady and petty. He did make a couple inferences about how he wouldn't be fighting and he wouldn't be getting in the ring, which obviously made a lot of fans, including myself, raise an eyebrow because let's chill out, Punk. Let's chill out, Phillip. Let's not do all that. But now we know that the Elite are back in AEW. So many people are excited to have them back. But during this time of them being absent and not being on AEW television, we did see a couple other people come back into the fold. We had an AEW appearance by Colt Cabana a couple weeks ago, which...
that was amazing. We've been waiting for Cabana on TV. And the fact that we were blessed with this, I also heard that it was Chris Jericho's request that he wanted Colt Cabana, which rumor, I don't know, but if Chris Jericho, who we also heard in the media scrum, was
Judas.
Punk was a poison or whatever he said.
Cancer,
yes.
Oh.
Match to be like, yes, bring Colt Cabana on TV, girl. The drama. So
I would like to first start this TED Talk by stating that I am a Colt Cabana fan. A lot of people were talking about Colt Cabana. I didn't say anything because I'm not on Colt Cabana's payroll at this point, but let me say something here. People are rude as they're over here like they thought they were doing something by bringing Colt Cabana in, and people were just pissed. They were like, why would Chris Jericho go up against Colt Cabana? Like, there were so many other Ring of Honor champions. What was the reason, right? And people were saying they tried to make it seem like it was going to be such this big deal, and then they bring out Colt Cabana. They felt like it was anticlimactic. I feel like I'm glad that they put Colt Cabana on TV because we've heard the rumors. We've heard that when Phil or CM Punk got back to AEW, for some reason, because of probably their personal history, Colt Cabana pretty much disappeared. We know he was with the Dark Order for all of that time. And then once CM Punk came back, he slowly faded into the distance. And people online, myself included, were kind of like, well, like, have they ever been in the locker room together again? Like, kind of wondering what was going on because their history is so long. It's like, have you guys made up? Like, what the hell is going on? But obviously, we gained clarity during that media scrum that they're still in the place or worse than they were before. But people trying to say that Cole Cabana like was a disappointment being in this segment, I feel like it's kind of up because we know the impact that Cole Cabana has had on the younger talent. And it's been stated that people really look up to him. He's been a mentor to them. And seeing that the last thing we heard about Cole Cabana was that he was on his mother's bank account, I feel like this was kind of like a defining moment for him to be like, hey, I'm here. I still wrestle. Like, here I am. I'm not just this guy who CM Punk claims is on his mom's bank account. I'm a wrestler. I have a Twitch stream. I've been a champion numerous places, numerous times. Like, so the fact that people were kind of like, oh, Cole Cabana.
You know what? I think that a lot of the hate that Colt got for coming back, or that people were feeling for him even being in the match, is because of the supposed love that people have for CM Punk. Like, they're diehard CM Punk fans. And like, I'm from Chicago. So Colt and Punk are from Chicago. And yes, I do know about CM Punk more, but like, Colt is such a fantastic wrestler, fantastic person. And I can tell you from my interactions with both of them that CM Punk is a little bit more closed off. Like, he's maybe a little bit more standoffish, but like, that's his personality, whatever. Colt Cabana is 1,000% about you when you meet Colt Cabana. He is incredible. He's just so amazing and talented. And he does all of this work on the side. Like, he works for his money. And the fact that people were like trying to discredit him, like, we need to remember at the end of the day that if a wrestler is personally good or bad, and like where they stand and their morals and values, like, we don't know these people.
Right.
At the end of the day. So we don't know them personally, and we cannot make judgments based on that, because we don't know them. We don't know what they like to do, who they hate in real life, and who they don't like. They give us a lot of access to them, but at the end of the day, like, they don't really tell us. So
Right.
you can't defend someone fully because you really don't know them. So I don't understand why people are like 1,000% behind CM Punk, which CM Punk is just CM Punk, whatever. But
Well, I don't even think it was a matter of them being behind CM Punk. I just feel like they thought that the match should have been a bigger caliber. I feel like they felt like AEW hyped it up to the point where it was going to be someone more well known. And then Colt Cabana came out and they're kind of like, is this it? But he got a good reception. I watched it. He got a loud pop. I haven't seen that many people talk about it anymore. More people are worried about the MMA appearance with CM Punk recently, that they're not even worried about Colt Cabana anymore. But I do wonder where Colt Cabana goes after this, because we have heard that he would be involved with Ring of Honor, since Tony did buy Ring of Honor, that he would be involved in that aspect. So I'm wondering if this was kind of like a one-time thing. They're kind of like, oh, we kind of you over in that media scrum. Like, let's plug you in this match, give you your redeeming moment, and then kind of push you to the side until Ring of Honor is ready to go. And then you kind of, do your thing over there. Because at this point, I really don't know where else they would put him. I don't know if they would put him back with the Dark Order, since it's looking like CM Punk is not coming back to AEW. I don't know.
with Ring of Honor, I did not know much about it until generally Tony bought it, right? And then the first pay-per-view I saw was once Tony had bought Ring of Honor. I heard that like Colt was supposed to play a huge part in the Ring of Honor roster. And when they brought Claudio, it was said that Claudio was really going to be part of Ring of Honor. And Yuta was the pure champion. So I'm just thinking, like, you have all of these people who you said you were going to put in Ring of Honor, fantastic talents. Use them. You have Samoa Joe as your champion.
You have Mercedes Martinez.
Out of all of the talent that you have for Ring of Honor, like, and you finally made Chris Jericho champion. Now is the time, Tony. Cut that TV deal. I don't know what you got to do, who you got to call. You really need to make Ring of Honor happen. Take out Jericho, because Jericho, you really don't need him in AEW anymore now that he's Ring of Honor champion. Samoa Joe is also a champion. Daniel Garcia is a champion. You have these incredible...
Bad just love Daniel Garcia.
You really do. Put the logo up. Yeah, you have all of these incredible talents, and it's just like you keep mixing them in with your AEW talent, and I get it. But that's like if every Monday Night Raw, you had 3 matches that were NXT. It doesn't make sense.
Going back to WWE, we talked about a little bit earlier that there is another title within the WWE that is going bye-bye. It's out of here. And it's a 24/7 title. So after 3 years, WWE has apparently officially retired it. So Nikki Cross was the last title holder. We saw her attempt to throw it in the trash on Monday Night Raw recently. So WWE's official website lists the title as being active from 2019 to 2022, indicating that it may be done with. I have couple thoughts on this. So we know that when the 24/7 title came about, everybody was kind of like, what is this? And over time, with the help of like Drake Maverick, R-Truth especially, he really built that title up. More people were kind of like, okay, I get the idea of the championship. It's pretty cool, right? Ugly design, but it's a non-conventional title. We saw people like Kelly, legends win it during these special Raw segments and stuff like that. So, they had a whole lineage of people that have held this title, but as of recently, Nikki Cross was holding it. We see Nikki Cross's transformation recently, and now the title is gone. And while I feel like the title hasn't been utilized like it was when it first came about, when we saw Drake Maverick and Truth going about it all the time and on different segments, whether it was WWE or during appearances that they had, they always kept it spicy. But, it started to get dry a little bit and they decided to discontinue it. I actually saw someone on TikTok a couple days ago who said, we got rid of the 24/7 title. What if we brought back a women's mid-card title? So I think that's what Dana Brooke really wanted. She had the title for a minute and she was a fighting champion. When Dana Brooke was holding that title, she really took it seriously. And I think that, it shows that the women, I think, do need a title right underneath that Raw Women's Championship, SmackDown Women's Championship. And this one girl on TikTok, I don't remember who it was. She was like, why don't we bring the Divas title back and have it as a mid card? And obviously you saw the comments like, oh, the connotation of diva isn't good. I like the design, but the connotation of diva, fine. Okay, don't bring the butterfly belt back. Just say you don't have taste and leave it at that. But
Alice was fighting for her life, trying to fight for this belt online.
Period. But I think that we do need a women's mid-card title. I think that there's women like Dana Brooke or Zelina Vega or, even women in NXT that could go for this title. You have all of these women within the Raw Women's Championship title picture, the SmackDown Women's Championship picture, and it's like, what do you do with these other women? This is not 2009 again, where they're not all going to come around the ring and do a lumberjill match. What do you expect these women to be doing when you have all the other women going after this title or titles?
I am glad that the ugly belt is gone. I hated the green. I didn't like the 24/7 logo. I really liked the concept. It was a good idea. When they first announced it, I think it was Mick Foley that came out with it and he was like, okay, you can challenge for this at any time. And I was like, wow, that's crazy because you really got to be on the lookout all the time. But they just went through so many title changes so quickly that I feel like it just became like a comedy belt at one point because you're like, okay, there's been like 47 champions already. If they wanted to play it smart, they would have done a lot of these segments like backstage, just pre-recorded little segments, minimal pins. There shouldn't have been that many champions. If you would have had like 4 or 5 champions, maybe. But I don't think you really needed that many. I think Dana was really, really great. And R-Truth was also fantastic. He, I think, really gave credibility to that title. And
Yes.
him because you still got to see him on TV and you're like, yes, R-Truth, a champion. That totally makes sense. But I'm glad that it's gone. The concept was really good, though. I just think they should have tweaked a couple of things.
We will see if they incorporate another belt. I don't see a women's mid-card title coming anytime soon. I think we need an evolution too first, and that's a whole bigger concept. I think even, seeing this whole thing with NWA and how they think that they can't run another Empower because they don't have enough women to run a show. Like, first of all, Billy, there are enough women on the independent circuit that you could run a big show, a talented show, and these women can probably outwork the men. No, they probably can't. They can. I've seen women like Hyan, who you've interviewed before, speaking on this and defending it because I feel like it does need to be defended. I saw Trevor Murdoch make a comment as well. He used to be in WWE as well, and now he's in NWA. It's always the men having something to say. Like, these women know that they could put on a show. And we know that Mickie James worked her ass off to get his first Empower event, and it was wonderful. I'm not sure of the numbers, but it's still talked about today because it was such a historic event. It was what WWE was not going to do again, because we're still waiting on, like I said, another evolution. But I think until WWE puts their foot down and say, look, we need to do another evolution too, I don't see a mid-card title coming. Because while WWE, I do feel like they are, just like AEW, I feel like they are trying a little bit more with their women's titles. I still feel like it's not enough for me. And it might be because I am a woman, like I want to see more women on TV, but we need to utilize these women that we're not utilizing all the time. I think it's great that they've repackaged Nikki Cross, right? Because the whole superhero thing was getting on my nerves. Now she's back to the character that I think she thrives best at, the sanity character. But you have other women that they're bringing in. They just brought back Candice LeRae. We're hearing rumors that they might bring back Chelsea Green and a couple other women that they've had on their roster before. And great. But when you get these women back, how are you going to utilize them? Like, there's only certain spots at the top that you could put them in. When you have mid-card women, which is fine, how are you going to utilize them so that they're like, wow, I was in Impact or I was on the Independents waiting to get called back to WWE, and I finally did. And I finally have a spot here again, and I'm working and I'm showcasing my talent. Not, oh, well, I came back from Impact and now I'm in catering and they have shrimp today. Like, what's the reason? Like, you have to have a plan with these women. And I've thought this within all the returns, which is what we're going to talk about, the WWE returns that have been happening. We've seen so many people coming back. Karrion Kross, Hit Row, Dakota Kai, so many women and so many men have been coming back to WWE, Braun Strowman. But how are we going to utilize them? Like, I feel like the goal should be, if we're bringing these people back, we need to have them active on the roster. Like, it makes no sense to bring people back and then you're like, well, we're just going to put them in catering. We don't have any plans for them for the next couple months. Like, okay, so yeah, they're making good money, right? But they're not doing what they love.
Yeah, and you know what? With these returns, we've also seen like promos for the Viking Raiders with
Yep.
Sarah Logan. So that's making me think like, okay, we do need more tag teams. You know, the Usos are very, very dominant, and the New Day stays dominant. So we need to bring another tag team into the mix. So they make perfect sense, right? And this is why I get so mad at Ronda Rousey, because she takes,
This is somehow Ronda's fault.
this always goes back to Ronda. Do you remember? Oh my God. So I talked to you about when we were at the Royal Rumble last year, and when Ronda Rousey came out, the WrestleMania sign like started like burst out in flames. And I do take that as like an omen. So I love, love, love Shayna Baszler. And the fact that like I just know Shayna Baszler can out wrestle and outperform Ronda Rousey, but she keeps coming out with Ronda Rousey. Like, you keep giving Ronda promo time, which she cuts terrible promos. She's not the best athletically. She does not try in her gear. Like, I feel so bad for Natty, like, who's backstage, who's really probably in catering, like, because they don't let her.
Natty has a broken nose, or she did.
Natty could at least come out ringside, do something. Like, give other women that time that you're giving to Ronda Rousey. Give that money that you're paying to Ronda Rousey to all of the women who you have backstage. You have so many women.
So it's interesting because a couple weeks ago they brought back Emma. Emma was very big when I wasn't really watching wrestling like that. I had taken my break, but I know that Emma, a lot of the fans loved Emma, right? So she answered Ronda Rousey's open challenge, and it's been revealed that Emma has signed a contract with the WWE. But she lost her first match back to Ronda Rousey. That's my thing, is like, you have to have a plan for these women. You bring this woman back who has been an Impact. You know, I don't think she had been an Impact for a couple months, but I think of it like with Chelsea Green. Like, Chelsea Green has been an Impact. Like, are they going to do another open challenge with Ronda and have Chelsea come back and face Ronda and lose? Because I don't see them being like, we're going to put Chelsea Green over Ronda Rousey. I don't see it. I think the reason why they always push Ronda so much is because she has that crossover effect that I've mentioned so many times on here. Ronda Rousey is a household name when it comes to MMA. And when you think of women in MMA, you think of Ronda, right? But now she's in this WWE atmosphere. It's not her world. It's the WWE world. And I think that's why a lot of people have had issues with Ronda, is because she's come in here, she's taken these titles. She scares me when she wrestles, but she has that crossover effect that, you know, if let's say a man is flicking through the channels and he sees Ronda Rousey, he's going to stop because he's going to be like, oh, wait, I've seen her, do MMA before. What is she doing on WWE? But at the same time, I feel like you're almost disservicing these women who have trained their whole career in professional wrestling and are looking to have these opportunities, whether it's in a mid-card status or they're going up against a top female competitor in the upper card, but you have Ronda. Maybe it's just me because I'm not the biggest fan of Ronda.
I'm also not the biggest fan of Ronda. And if you listen to to the podcast, you know that like I don't like Ronda. But going back to what you said about the crossover effect that Ronda Rousey has, I totally get it for a pay-per-view, but like people are not tuning in to Monday Night Raw to watch Ronda Rousey fight Emma, fight a mystery opponent, like put her title on the line against someone else who's random on Monday Night Raw. Like that's just not happening. And I guess you could also say like the same thing about Logan Paul. Like Logan Paul brought a lot of eyes on the recent pay-per-view that they had. But are you watching SmackDown to watch a Logan Paul promo? I don't think so.
Honestly, though, I feel like
it's very, very tiny.
Yeah, but I do feel like I could argue that because I feel like Logan Paul with his reach, like, and you have to think if he has, I don't know what his demographics are, but usually if you have like a younger audience and you're like obsessed with a YouTuber, you will pay attention to them like that because you're a stan, right? I don't know if Logan Paul has stans. I really don't care. But if he does, I feel like they would tune in because they're like, oh shit, Logan Paul's on Monday Night Raw or Friday Night SmackDown. Let me watch it and see what he has to say. And also, if he is vlogging or he's putting it on his social media that he's going beyond tonight, that does bring more eyes to the product. So will they tune into the whole show? Probably not. They'll probably tune in at the first part and see like, oh, it's coming up. They might not watch the whole show, or if they have it on, they're not actively paying attention to it because the person that they want to see is not on.
I'm not watching Logan Paul or Ronda Rousey.
I mean, yeah. I will say, though, I think Logan Paul at Crown Jewel really impressed a lot of people. I haven't watched Crown Jewel. I probably won't, to be honest, but his athletic ability, when we saw him at Mania, he showed up and showed out with The Miz, but The Miz makes anyone look good. But a lot of people are really impressed with Logan Paul. And we know that he was training with Shawn Michaels and he's been training with the different people in NXT to prepare for this match. So I think recently with these celebrities that come in like Bad Bunny and some of the other ones that they've had, they have been better than what like a Snooki, right? And I was thinking this last week. I was like, I feel like when WWE used to bring celebrities in, it was just for like, oh my God, Snooki from Jersey Shore is going to be on WrestleMania and she's teaming with Trish Stratus. They didn't expect Snooki to carry the match. They expected John Morrison and Trish Stratus, who she was teaming with, to carry the match. But now I feel like they're bringing in celebrities such as Bad Bunny and Logan Paul, who genuinely have an interest in professional wrestling and want to learn some of the skills so that they're able to carry a match. So it's not like, oh my God, like this musician or this YouTuber came in and wrestled and it was horrible. And I can respect Logan Paul for this. Only this. Okay, only this, that he took the time to learn so he could put on a good match. Because like I said, when Snooki was there, girl.
So I was having a fight with the man on Twitter about Logan Paul.
Oh, I must have missed that.
Oh, you know what? It was on TikTok because someone was like, oh my God, Logan Paul was so good. He's amazing. And I was looking at the comments and all of the men were losing their minds. And they're like, I don't understand why Logan Paul is getting so much hate. Like, it's probably because he's just such a great wrestler. And you know me, I was like, no, it's because he's a terrible person. That's why people don't like Logan Paul. And he was like, no, I don't think that was the reason. I don't think that you watched the match. Mind you, I didn't, and I don't care to watch it, but I am right. He is a terrible person. And you can applaud him all day because he was athletic in the ring. And good for him, right? Because a lot of people don't take the time to learn the craft, and it's very hard to be a wrestler. And I could only imagine what training is like for that. So do I give him props? Yes. Do I respect him? No. Am I going to watch the match? No. So the man who I was fighting on TikTok, I win. And
did he delete his account?
I hope he did.
Give him the good old SK wrestling effect and get his account blocked. We'll talk about that a little bit. I feel like the people need to know this. What if they're on Sportskeeda and they like go look and they're like, wait a minute, is that Lo from Wrestling Winedown telling a random man with 15 followers off? Iridian is a content creator for Sportskeeda. She makes like TikToks for them and all types of stuff. I'm a supportive friend. I'll go on, I'll watch her videos. And I'm also an Aquarius and all the other moon signs that Teddy from the Rest Friends has subscribed me for. Okay. Because I don't know my moons by heart. I'll go on. And I've tweeted about this before, but I've never like went in depth. So I'll go on and I see these men and they're like cringe or they're like, why does she keep posting videos? And I'm like, I got time today. And, you know, I'll go back and forth with them and they're over here like, why are you fighting with me? Why do you care so much? And I'm like, here's my thing. If you think her videos are so cringe and they're so bad, why don't you plug up your little Motorola Razr, tape it on your fridge and do the yourself? Do it. Let's see it, pal. They won't. You know why? Because they don't know what the they're doing. It irritates me that every time a woman in our community decides that they want to do something different or they want to do something that makes them happy, that men always have to come in and comment and say cringe or you don't know or whatever, whatever. And I'm sure this happens in other industries because women are always looked at as they don't know as much as men do. But I'm just strictly talking about pro wrestling and what you do. It irritates my soul, and I will go to bat in this. I don't care if SK Wrestling blocks my account at this point. They need to patrol their comments better because when I go on other videos of men, there are no cringe comments. Everyone's having a field day. They love the graphics, they love the music, etc., etc. But as soon as a video of a woman, Iridian, is put up, there's hate comments, and it's always the same. My point of this is, shut the up. It's cost $0 and 0 cents to just shut the up. You don't have to be rude all the time. If you don't like a video, I see a lot of videos online that I'm kind of like, why'd they make that? You know what I do? I just scroll. I don't say why, because my hate is not going to do anything. My dislike of a video is not going to do anything. If anything, it's going to hurt the feelings of the content creator. And some people are not as strong online as other people are. They might see a hateful comment and it might ruin their whole day. And that's really upsetting. And people don't think that before they go on videos or TikToks or etc. and say stupid shit. So, like I said, $0 and 0 cents. Pay up.
Well, thank you for defending my honor. You know, I always appreciate you. And, you know, I got this job by a mutual friend that you and I have. And I was like, oh my God, this is super cool. And he's like, yeah, like you're going to get paid for making your content. And I was like, oh my God, that's even better. Like I have like, I don't make money off of Rest Friends. So like the fact that I can make content and like wrestling content at that and get paid for it, I'm just like, oh my God, that's incredible. And I am like a semi-sensitive person. Like I'm very like in my feelings. So when I started making TikTok videos for Sportskeeda, I was like, okay, this is like out of my comfort zone because like it's 1,000% like just me on, they have such a big platform that I'm like, okay, I'll look at the comments at first. And at first it was like not there. Like I wouldn't get much hate because I guess people were like missing it, right? But after a couple videos, I started to notice like people to comment like on my weight, like what I look like how I talk, like every little thing about me, like men will, and it's always men. Women do not comment on the videos. It's always men saying like, oh my God, again, like you said, cringe. There was one comment that took me out. Like there was a guy who deleted this comment, or I don't know if Sportskeeda deleted it, but he was saying like that I had to be sleeping with the owner of the company because there was no way that he's like, I don't know why you guys keep pushing this girl. She's got to be sleeping with somebody there. And I'm just like, when did this escalate to the level of like that comment? Like if you didn't like it, just keep scrolling. There's so much other content. Like Sportskeeda makes so many other things and you're worried about me. I'm shook. But I do appreciate when I see your comments because I'm like, yes, Lo, my bestie.
I know people probably be going through those videos and they're like, wait a minute. What is she saying? like I said, I feel like women are always getting harassed in this community for whatever reason, right? Whether it's because men think we don't know enough, or whether it's what we look like, or etc. And it's like, unless you can get on here and make a TikTok or a video or a podcast better than we can, shut up. Shut up.
And like, it is a collaborative environment there. So we both work on like the ideas of, hey, like what TikTok should we do next? So like I'll send ideas, they'll send ideas. And if they didn't like my content, they wouldn't post it.
Period.
So jokes on them, on people who hate comments, because I'm getting paid for a video that the people at Sportskeeda liked. It's not about your hate comment. Like, I still made my money.
Period. They can't even afford the $0.00 to shut the up.
And then we always click on the profiles. I know, because you and I will be an FBI team, but they have 5 followers.
5 followers, no pictures of themselves, action figure pictures. Really? That's what we're doing here? Okay. I just felt like we needed to talk about that. We haven't talked about it before, and it has been weighing on my mind heavy, and I am always ready to let it know. I feel like our community needs a Drew from TikTok, the girl that tells these men off. It might have to be me. I don't know.
We can start our joint TikTok where we just roast all of the men who try to mansplain wrestling.
If anyone has a username that they think we should use, please send it to us. Thank you, Iridian, so much for another episode of Chardonnay and Chisme. Where can the people find you on social media?
You guys can head over to Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Rust Friends. Right now on YouTube, we have some really, really awesome interviews in our interview series. Our most recent one being Titus Alexander, who is the current West Coast Pro Champion. And he was just really awesome. We talked about our love for John Cena, which, fun fact, if you didn't know, Titus Alexander also loves John Cena, and he had a John Cena backpack. And I was 1,000%, and the jorts, I was 1,000% here for it. So it was just a really, really fun interview. So go check that out. And as you mentioned earlier, I also have Hyan on there, who was on Impact a while ago, and that girl is just shooting to the moon. So I'm super excited for her. And Crash Jackson, who we love Crash Jackson.
We do.
Fantastic. He's a bestie. And we have a lot more exciting interviews to come. So definitely be subscribed to us on YouTube, because we have some great stuff coming up.
And I must say, so before I log out of the conversation, so we did rebrand, like I mentioned. I kind of talked about it on different platforms, but new logo, new music, new merch that we have coming out. Why the rebrand? When we started Wrestling Winedown, it was me and my friend that I was in college with. The brand was reminiscent of the both of us, right? And, she's stepped aside. She does her own thing now, and it's just me. And I felt like I wanted Wrestling Winedown to really capture how I am. I love professional wrestling, but I love other things as well. And Joy, who creates my logos, my friend, she did an amazing job. We kind of went back and forth. I sent her some ideas that I liked. It has the retro style, and it's just a really beautiful logo, and we're incorporating YouTube. We put our interview up with Roman Reigns, and that has done really well. I'm very thankful and grateful that the people, held on, because I had that interview in my back pocket for a couple months now, but a lot of people really liked it, and I'm just really looking forward to the next steps of Wrestling Winedown. I have people ask me, what's next? What are you doing? Like, the logo, what are you doing next? Just get your glass of wine and stay tuned, because we're in this, we're in here, and we're doing it. Okay, so
cheers to that.
Cheers. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Wrestling Winedown. You can find all of our other episodes available wherever you listen to your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and iHeartRadio. We are on Twitter and Instagram at WWDCAST. We also have our official merch store, which you can find at shop.wrestlingwinedownlv.com. Let us know what you thought about this episode. What was your favorite part? Until next time, enjoy your wine and, of course, enjoy your wrestling. Cheers!